Hey mathletes, Mr. Nolde here, your personal math coach. Today I'm going to show you a fast example using synthetic division, the remainder theorem, and the factor theorem in order to factor a quadratic polynomial. So stay tuned for that. So here's an example where we could use the factor theorem. Factor the polynomial given 2 and negative 5 are zeros. So factor the polynomial given 2 and negative 5 are zeros. So here's our polynomial. So we know if this is a 0, if I use synthetic division and try to divide by the 2 and the negative 5, I'm going to get a remainder of 0, right? So that's what the remainder theorem had said. So I'm going to jot down my coefficients here. Negative 3 and 10. So I'm already in descending order of the variable, x to the 4th, x cubed, x squared, x to the 1, and the constant. So the first thing I will do is drop the 1. So I got to drop the 1 first. And honestly, it doesn't matter if we try the 2 or the negative 5 first. I'll just go with the 2 because 2 is a small number and it's easier to work with. So 2 times 1. So that's this 2 times this 1 gives us a 2. And then remember we add 3 and 2 and that gives us 5. And then multiply 2 times 5, put it here, that's a 10. Then add negative 11 and 10, that's a negative 1. Then multiply 2 times negative 1, that goes here, so that's a negative 2. And then when I add negative 3 and negative 2, get negative 5. And last but not least, 2 times negative 5 is negative 10. So when I put that up here, I have a negative 10, and that adds up to 0. And I knew that was going to happen because in the problem, it tells me given that 2 and negative 5 are zeros. So I knew I'd get a 0 here. If I didn't, I'd have to go back and double check my arithmetic. So now that I've used the 2, I can go ahead and use the minus 5. So let's just go to the next line. Bringing down a 1. And then use a negative 5. So negative 5 times 1 is negative 5. 5 and negative 5 is 0. Negative 5 times 0, 0. Negative 1 and 0 is negative 1. Negative 5 times negative 1 is positive 5. And when I add those up, sure enough, the negative 5 is a 0. So now, here's what I've done. I've reduced this, undo. I've reduced a 4th degree to a 3rd degree, and then a 3rd degree to a 2nd degree. So that's the idea with these that makes them easier to factor. So if 2 is a factor, I already know that x minus 2, if 2 is a 0, I already know that x minus 2 is a factor. And let's see, if negative 5 is a 0, that came from the factor x plus 5. And then remaining over here, we have x squared plus 0x minus 1. So it's just x squared minus 1. So x squared minus 1. And the nice thing about this process is now I have a quadratic that is fairly easy to factor. So x plus 1 and x minus 1. X minus 2 from up here, just bringing that down, and x plus 5. So there you have it, x plus 5. So there are all of the factors of this. So by using synthetic division and being given 2 of the factors, being given 2 of the zeros, we are able to get 2 of the factors and the other quadratic factor, which we then factored. So now I have all of the factors of this long polynomial. So the trick is going to be coming up in a future lesson when we are not given 2 and we are not given -5. How do we know what to put here? So that's going to be the trick. So now we know also, by the way, all of the zeros. We already knew we were given up above here that 2 and -5 were zeros. But through this process, we now also know that x could be -1 or +1, in addition to x being 2 and x being -5. So we have all 4 of these zeros just by being able to factor and put everything in this form, all linear factors. And that's coming up to in a future lesson, that why we are able to do this. Every polynomial can be factored into linear factors. All right, that is it for today. Okay, so thanks for watching to the end. I do appreciate it. Remember, math's not a spectator sport. You have to do the work, put in the time, never give up. So make sure that you mention in the comments down below any other problems you might like to see done. Right now, I'm just showing you what's kind of going on in my classroom, one of my classrooms. So, but anyway, if you got some value out of this video, please go ahead and hit the like button. Subscribe, comment, the whole 9 yards there. Do appreciate it. It probably is going to help the channel. So until next time, this is Mr. Nolde signing out.